Here's how to stain a dresser with soy sauce. Yes, the same stuff you dip your sushi in. I picked this dresser up for $40. It had a lot of chip veneer, so I started off by applying some quick wood epoxy putty. While that dried, I sanded the drawers down, which revealed really pretty mahogany veneer. I used my Heart multi-tool to get into the hard to reach spots. Now it was time for the soy sauce. I just used whatever was in my fridge, which happened to be low sodium soy sauce. I poured it on a lint-free cloth and just wiped it on, and the results were wild. It turned what used to look like blonde mahogany into a gorgeous walnut color. I then fixed up veneer repairs with my Blendall sticks and toned the base to match the color of the soy sauce. I sealed everything up with some semi-gloss lacquer. I decided to use lacquer over wipe-on poly because I didn't want to darken the wood. And as a reminder, here's the before and here's the after. I cannot believe I stained this dresser with soy sauce. I'm obsessed with the color and I'm thrilled with how it turned out. And yes, my garage smelled absolutely delicious while doing this. I paid $250 for 7 days of pain, and I wish I was joking. I'm not sure why I did this to myself, but I just felt the urge to save this piece even though it was outrageously priced. I started off by applying a chemical stripper, which got a bulk of the paint off. I could already see that I was going to have an issue with paint residue stuck in the grain, which is why I always hesitate to take on fully painted pieces. I continued on by sanding off what I could with 120 grit and then 180 grit. For the little legs, I used a carbide scraper, and I tried to level out the previous repairs and any other veneer chips with colored Mohawk epoxy. I then spent over 6 hours straight scrubbing every inch of this piece with a wire brush and some lacquer thinner to remove the paint out of the grain. I'm not kidding when I tell you this left blisters. Now, I don't normally stain walnut, but I decided to apply a gel stain just in case I missed any paint. I was definitely questioning my decision when I saw the jello-like texture of this stain, but honestly, the result was fabulous. I was then able to use my veneer paint kit to color match the repairs I made and the repairs the previous owner made. Getting that combo right also took forever, but it was totally worth it. Lastly, I applied several coats of a wipe-on poly. Now here's the very scary before and here's the after. I'm actually really happy with the result, but wow, this was not a fun one at all. I've already accepted that I'm going to take a major loss on this one considering the original price and the labor I put into it, but oh well, I saved a piece of furniture. You will never believe what I thrifted for $10. Just a 2-foot, mid-century modern genie bottle decanter, and then I shattered it along with my heart. This was one of my prized possessions, so I just couldn't get myself to throw out the glass shards. So I decided to mix up some epoxy and pour it into a silicone mold. This isn't something I have any experience with, so I wasn't really sure how it would turn out. I just placed the glass throughout the epoxy and topped it all off with a little more to make sure everything was covered. And after 24 hours, I took it out of the mold and I was pleasantly surprised with the result. Now I have a little jewelry tray to put my ring in. Do Do you have leftover or broken tiles? Try this. I reinforced this cheap MDF table with wood screws. I then took my tile adhesive and spread it onto the table. I back buttered the tiles with more adhesive and got to work. I used a simple manual tile cutter to cut the tiles to size for the front legs. I then continued the tile the front, which was definitely the longest part of the project. I applied grout in the color Rain with my float and then wiped off with a clean sponge. I used my Datacolor Color Reader Easy on the tiles to find its closest paint color match, which turned out to be Calligraphy by Behr. I decided to paint the underside of the table instead of tile because I didn't want to add too much weight to the table. Plus, I knew I could find a flawless match with my color reader. I'm really obsessed with the way that it came out. I love that you can see some of the broken tiles that were left over from another project I did. I just love all of the character it had. There are just some legs I'd recognize anywhere, especially on Facebook Marketplace. So when I saw this boomerang coffee table, I immediately messaged the seller and paid her asking price of $150, which I thought was way too expensive, but this table is my Roman Empire, so I sucked it up. After a good clean, I sanded off the old finish with 120 grit, which revealed this dreamy two-tone. I wanted a simple and durable finish, so I slathered on some tung oil. It looked delicious. I'll apply about 5 to 6 coats total, waiting a few hours between each coat, and lastly, I used some veneer paint to fix some small blemishes and the transformation was complete. Now here's the before and here's the after. I can't believe how just a little bit of oil revived this table, and it was so easy too. I just love this table so much, but I still can't confirm if this table is Adrian Pearsall or Kohler because it doesn't have a maker's mark. If you're looking to give an old piece of furniture a new lease on life, tan washing with the paint color Algonquin by Fusion Mineral Paint is a great technique to consider. To tan wash, you're going to start by mixing equal parts water and paint into a container. You could do a little bit more water or a little bit less water depending upon the look you're going for. You'll stir the mixture thoroughly until it's well combined and has a smooth, even consistency. Then, using a paintbrush, apply the mixture to the surface in a thin, even layer. Next, use a lint-free cloth to wipe away any excess paint or water, taking care not to remove too much of the paint. You want to leave behind just enough to create the desired aged look. Make sure that the piece of furniture is dry before applying another coat. Since the mixture does have water in it, it can make the piece look darker than expected until it's dried, so don't worry. Once it is dry, you can add a top coat of clear water-based polyurethane to protect the surface and add a final layer of sheen and durability. Overall, tan washing with Fusion Mineral Paint and Algonquin is a great way to achieve a beautiful look on your furniture. With a little bit of patience and care, you can transform an old piece into a stunning and unique addition to your home.